Honorable Ssemuju Nganda tuli mu Parliament wakati eno kugambye ekiri eno kikabuka anti embeera eriwo yakutaasa bannyinaffe abo abawangalira amawanga ga Buwarabu. Gavumenti ya General Museveni yeeremereddwa okutaasa abantu bano, tebaliiko, tebalowoozaako, tebafaako. Katiwo kalwefube atandikiddwa mu Parliament okulaba nga tutaasa embeera okusinza kwa naffe abadde babonaabona n'abazadde abakaba amaziga enkya n'eggulo olw'abaana baabwe baggyibwamu ensigo, abattibwa, batusizibwako ebisago. Ate nno olwaleero ekiri mu Parliament kyakutema mpenda yakutaasa bannaffe abawangalira ku byeyo. Bw'oba oli ku kyeyo sembera wano, kubanga wano waliwo obubaka bwo okuva mu Parliament obukulembeddwa mu Honorable Ssemuju Nganda nga alina ensonga zaali mu kutaasa ezirina okukolebwa okutaasa baganda baffe abawangalira mu mawanga ga Buwarabu, era nga ne minisita avunaanyizibwa ku nsonga z'abantu abo abawangalira mu Buwarabu naye waliwo alipoota ekuŋŋaanyiziddwa na biki ebigenda okukolebwa okulaba nga tutaasa embeera tubeere nga abantu baffe bagenda ne bakola naye ate nga bayisibwa ng'abantu ng'amawanga amalala bwe gakola. Waliwo abagamba mbunno bawerebwe. Ssemuju Nganda agamba nti bwe tunaawera nga bwe twawerako era abaana bajja genda, kubanga wano tewali mirimu. Tulina kusooka kutereeza kyakuteeka wano mirimu, abaana tebajja kuddamu kugenda Buwarabu. Ne bw'ati wano tewali mirimu, abaana tubaleke bagende bagira pakatina bayiiya obulamu, naye tuteekewo embeera y'okubakuuma, okuba protectinga nga batuuse mu mawanga ga Buwarabu. Kati nno kkiriza tugende mu Parliament olabe Honorable Ssemuju Nganda ng'ensonga zino azisoosootula, ate ne minisita avunaanyizibwa ku bantu baffe ababeera eyo, naye ng'awa ekibyo ebisaliddwawo biki ebigenda okukolebwa era biki ebigenda okugobererwa. N'abaka ba Parliament abandi bagamba ki ku nsonga eno ey'abaganda baffe abawangalira mu Buwarabu eyo.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I don't know which number is this report about this subject matter. Every parliament has discussed this issue. I have a feeling we tend to be emotional and fail to address the issue that we are supposed to address. People who go to work as maids, they don't go to work in companies. There are no standards in homes, including ours. You are treated according to the temper, the temperament, or the conduct of a particular home where you have gone. I think Parliament is devoting too much time discussing emotionally about this issue. Until we have stopped the vulnerabilities, forcing girls to go and work as maids, there cannot be standards, including the recruitment agents. You are just blaming them for no reason. Each home treats people differently. There are those who are going to abuse them. There are those who are going to beat them. I want to make the same argument I made when we were complaining that South Sudan was chasing borders. The last time we had the parliamentary games in South Sudan, we interacted with the Ugandan embassy. The embassy told us there is more than 1 million Ugandans in South Sudan that has just emerged out of war. More than 1 million. Until we've dealt with the real issues that forcing people to go and work as maids, what they go through are not issues that you can solve as a parliament. Maybe the preliminary issues, Mr. Speaker, that we can deal with. And I'm now speaking in general terms.
Can we have the attention of the minister?
The preliminary issues that we can deal with is the quick evacuation. And I want to propose, Mr. Speaker, because you remember when the Honorable Janet Mukwaya brought a report here about the same subject matter, she told us that year when government put a ban, and MPs were emotional here, and government put a ban. when there was a ban, 40,000 girls arrived in Oman. When there was a ban, 40,000 girls arrived in Oman. So the proposal I want to make, Mr. Speaker, let us be present in these areas where they are. We have no embassy, not even a consulate in Oman. Saudi Arabia is such a vast country. Girls who are abused in Riyadh, in Jeddah, it will take them 12 hours on a bus to go to Riyadh. Now that the amount of money we are receiving from these girls is as the figures given in this report by the Committee on Gender. Because this money, if you look at the economy, it is more than the money we get from all the crops exported, including coffee. Let's put, instead of quarreling with the recruitment agencies, let's put a fund for quick evacuation, and let's put some small offices in all these big cities where they go and work, and then deal with the problems as they emerge. But I can tell you, you can be as emotional as the 9th Parliament. What it did was to say, ban, no going. When there was a ban, 40,000 arrived in Oman. In Ethiopia, there was even a demonstration. The government put a ban, and the girls went on the street, we want to go, because there are no jobs. So we should stop dealing with this matter in an emotional way. Let's try to help whoever gets into trouble, because the report says you have nearly 200,000 girls in Saudi Arabia. So if 1 or 20 of them were abused, you deal with the abuses. Otherwise, just imagine a day when Saudi Arabia says 200 girls go back to Uganda. Oman says does this thing. Dubai, you're going to be in a crisis.
Thank you. Honorable Chair, you wanted to conclude with something?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And thank you, Right Honorable Ssemuju. Ssemuju. Right Honorable. Horse. Thank you, Honorable Ssemuju. Honorable Speaker, we have good recommendations here. I request that I read them out. There are few.
Please do, but.
Thank you so much. Just in a few minutes.
Listen, let me guide you. You are allowed to be guided. Okay? Parliament works through rules. Petitions, you limit yourself to the prayers of the petitioner. You don't go on a wild goose chase to look for issues that affect the whole sector. And you say it's our chance to report, and you bring the issues. But if you feel as chair that these are very pertinent and quick recommendations, please read them so that we move quickly. The recommendation, let's allow her to present this recommendation. Because she has put in a lot of effort. Also, a colleague feels bad. Yeah? Putting in a lot of effort, and you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Our recommendations as the committee, the Ministry of Trade and Cooperatives and the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development should set up a cottage industry to skill and absorb the young people that would be migrated. Government should set up the curriculum and institutionalize domestic work and its training under the Directorate of Industrial Training, with short courses and domestic workers appropriate to their job. The 5 provinces of Saudi Arabia should have 5 coordinators, each following up the workers in a given province. The delegation noted that it was more cost-effective for Uganda to have an attaché than to recruit local workers who cannot be supervised. The Welfare Department of Ministry of Gender should ensure that the children of the workers remain in safe custody before the worker is allowed to migrate. A social impact assessment on children dependents and the family spouses of that work should be carried out. Saudi Arabia should allow Ugandans to be qualified to offer translators in Saudi Arabia. The Ugandan mission in Saudi Arabia should have a passport collection center. NILA should facilitate immigration services at the Uganda mission in Riyadh like it does in other countries. The system of sanctions, rewards, and punishments in the labor externalization sector should be strengthened for the employer and employee and recruitment companies who could be breach of their contractual obligations. The Ministry of Internal Affairs should clearly define trafficking in person, export of labor, and externalization of labor in all the frameworks. A joint training curriculum for migrant workers from East Africa should be considered. Culture, religion, and Arabic language should be part of the pre-boarding training for migrant workers. Government should enhance the skills and knowledge acquired by migrant workers upon their return. Workers who whose job description changes from the original offer of being a domestic worker in Saudi Arabia should have their remunerations increased. In conclusion, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the committee strongly states as follows. It is imperative to ensure that there is safe and orderly migration that corresponds to the Sustainable Development Goals. 87 calls upon the countries to eradicate forceful labor, end modern slavery and human trafficking, and secure the prohibition and the elimination of the worst forms of child labor worldwide. Global 8.8 and 10.7 and also crucial regarding the protection of labor rights and promotion of safe and secure working environments of all workers, including migrant workers, as well as the facilitation of orderly, safe and responsible migration and mobility of people. Chapter 4 of the Constitution, Livingstone Call for Action and African Union Declaration requires that government provides for social protection. It's also important to continue the efforts of creating jobs and opportunities for especially young people who are skilled. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I beg to move that a report of the committee is adopted. Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Chair, for the good job. Honorable Minister, just the simplest question is, why should these matters be coming to Parliament? I know you have a desk, you do what, but why is the public petitioning Parliament instead of coming to your ministry to sort out these matters quickly? So the prayer was simple, return my daughter. Why should it be Parliament? We spend resources sending committees on.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I think we receive those petitions almost on a daily basis, Right Honorable, and all those the petitions that come to our ministry, we make sure that we address them. And not necessarily in the docket of labor, any office they go to, we are able to address these petitions. Maybe this one was somebody's voter and thought wise that maybe the other one can go to Parliament first and to be addressed. And Right Honorable Speaker, of course, the petition I expected to get the prayers, which we are ready to work on as a ministry, and we thank God that the girl came. And for the recommendations that they have made, Right Honorable Speaker, we are willing to work on them, and we are not seated. As we speak, we have been fighting very hard with Ministry of Finance, and finally it has given us money to put labor attaches in these areas to help these girls who are that side. And I think this is an achievement. And secondly, they have also given us money where we have created an app, which app will be given to each girl that is going outside. In case you get a problem, even if you cannot talk, we shall know that you are located in this area and there is trouble. And then the labor attaches can move very fast to this home to save the life of our girls. Right, Honorable, thank you.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, the prayer was one. The prayer was one, return my daughter. The daughter came back. I now put a question that the report of the Committee on Gender, Labor and Social Development on a petition by Elvanson Nabatans against prime linkages limited be adopted. Those in favor say aye and the counter nay. The ayes have it. Colleagues, even if you are to have a debate, it should be within the line of a prayer. Someone said, return my daughter. She came. Honorable Ssemuju has just told you from 9th Parliament, we have been debating all these issues. So what is...
Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay the minutes of the Committee of Gender, Labor and Social Development on the petition of Elvanson Nabatanzi against Prime Linkage Limited. I beg to lay.
Procedure.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Is it procedural right for a report to be laid on the table on the floor of Parliament when in the Ministry of Gender we have more than 3 ministers and none of them is here? Is it procedural right?
Well, it wouldn't be the right thing to do. Okay, you say it's not the right thing to do. But you see, Parliament again someone can decide to frustrate Parliament by not coming, and you don't do work. You're judged on your own volition. There is government side. So I would say, let's receive the report. If we find that the issues require the minister to come here and explain, then the minister can come. But I agree with you, Honorable Chan Judy, that it's not good to find, we have on the order paper your item, and as a ministry, you have around. So, but Honorable Iguda has been here. And for now, I think he talked to the shadow minister to be standing in for him. Okay? Yeah, so he might have talked to the shadow minister. So let's continue. The shadow minister will link up with the colleague.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Procedure, Honorable Chibadia.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, through your office, I think you needed to take a decision on some of these issues. One of the ministers was here. She was around and she was in the lobby. And she knew her item was on the order paper. In a few minutes, as we look around, we can't see her. Maybe your office was notified. So through your office, Right Honorable Speaker, as the person who is seen making these people go through the SURVE and enjoy these privileges, we need you to take really an action on this because she has been around.
I haven't, she didn't consult me, or he has didn't consult me, they moved out. But now I assign you, since you had seen her, please bring her for me so that the house can proceed. Okay? So, Honorable Chiwadi, I give you 5 minutes to bring me the minister. Chair, proceed.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the committee. I beg to lay the report on the Committee of Gender, Labour and Social Development on the petition by Elvanson Nabatanzi against Prime Linkage Limited. I beg to lay. Right Honorable Speaker and members, I take this opportunity to present the report on the Committee of Gender, Labour and Social Development on the petition by Elvanson Nabatans against Prime Linkage Limited. I'm sure the report has been uploaded on our iPads. Right Honorable Speaker, the introduction. Right Honorable Speaker and members, this is a report of the Committee on Gender, Labour and Social Development on the petition of Elvanson Nabatans against Prime Linkage Limited regarding her daughter Annette Nachigulile, who is the victim, who was taken to Saudi Arabia through labor externalization. The petition was referred to the committee on 26th May 2022 by the Right Honorable Speaker under Rule 36 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament. Thereafter, similar matters regarding labor externalization were brought to the attention of the committee. The committee has, in accordance with Rule 199.1 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament, considered the petition and hereby reports. Honorable Speaker, on the issue of background, on 26 May 2022, the Right Honorable Speaker referred a petition by Elvanson Nabatans to the Committee on Gender and Social Development. The petitioner's daughter was taken to Saudi Arabia to work as part of the process of labor externalization by Prime Linkages Limited, a company licensed by Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development to engage in labor externalization. While in Saudi Arabia, it was alleged that she fought her employer and on the way to police also assaulted a police officer and caused damage to a police car. She was incarcerated as a result. Upon the intervention of the ambassador, she was released, subsequent to which she was housed at the shelter operated by the embassy in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The petitioner prayed that her daughter be brought back from Saudi Arabia. Currently, Uganda migrant workers in Saudi Arabia are estimated at 195,000, according to the 2022 report by African Institute for Strategy and Policy. Further still, the report indicates that labor externalization contributes 4.5 trillion as revenue to the GDP. Uganda earns an annual average of $600 million from migrant labor to the Middle East, of which the largest chunk comes from Saudi Arabia. This was confirmed by the Ministry of Finance Planning and Economic Development Budget speech, financial 22-23 on personal remittances from around the world, which have been a significant part of the economy. They represented about 4% of GDP from 2016 to 2019, significantly higher than the sub-Saharan Africa average of 2.7%. This was due to the global COVID-19 pandemic economic impact, which affected the country's personal remittances inflow that fell to 0.8% of GDP in 2022. 2.1, labor migration. The migration is an integral part of global labor and international development and has been part of the human experience of centuries. The International Labor Operations Organization estimates that international migrant workers number 169 million, with 90 million of them being men and 70 million being women, although international migrant workers constitute nearly 5% of the global workforce. The centrality of international migrant workers to the global economy continues to grow as part of the globalization and the increasing interconnectedness of the world. It is worth of note that whereas labor migration is mostly viewed in the context of south to north, there is significant labor migration taking place in the opposite direction. According to the African Commission, there were an estimate of 14.4 million migrant workers in Africa, 2.2, an increasing population. Part of the reason for the high rates of labor migration out of Uganda is due to an increased population that is also predominantly young. According to Uganda Bureau of Statistics, Uganda's population is approximately 42.9 million, 55% of which is aged below 18 years. The population growth rate is 3.1%, referred to the Household Survey Report 2020-2021. The World Bank notes that the following about Uganda's population.
Can you go to the issues you found?
Okay, let me summarize.
Okay.
The big report is uploaded on the iPad, I'm sure.
The whole report will be captured on the Hansard by the clerk.
So I go to the no.
You got
No,
page
I
14.
want to. There are issues I want to present to this House, Honorable Speaker. I'm going to pick out. This is a summary, but I'm going to pick out the most important issues that we can discuss about. It's good that you have the report. 2.4 on page 6, labor migration and human rights. Despite the huge benefits noted above, there are numerous problems associated with labor migration. These range from human trafficking to fraud, human rights violation, and the less talked about destruction of family cohesions. The International Organization for Migration notes that while remittances are largely used to improve the lives of dependent families in the home country, this often comes at a risk to the welfare of migrant workers, many of whom experience exploitative working and living conditions that may amount to human trafficking and forced labor. A report of the Ministry of Internal Affairs notes that irregular and unguided labor migration was the most contributing factor for trafficking of Ugandans to foreign countries, and majority of the victims were recruited in the trafficking trap through deceptive means, some of whom were aided with the use of fraudulent travel documents. Then the methodology used, the committee held a meeting with the individuals listed on page 10 and page 11 of the main report. You can visit the report. We also received the memorandum from the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Minister of Health. We also received the report from the Human Rights Commission. We visited Saudi Arabia. The members of the committee visited Saudi Arabia. We also visited Republic of Kenya. Our terms of references, that one you can refer to the main report. Then our findings, observation, and recommendations. Terms of reference number 1, establish the circumstances under which the petitioner traveled to Saudi Arabia and her present circumstances. The committee established that the victim was externalized and left Uganda under Prime Linkage Limited, a private reliability company. The company is licensed to undertake labor externalization by the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development under license number 12-911 issued on 18th December 2022. She was externalized under Altmal Afraquil Recruitment Office, a recruitment agency in Saudi Arabia. On 29th March, the respondent wrote to Gulf Skills Development Center, one of the training centers approved by Ministry of Gender, to conduct pre-departure training, requesting the victim and 24 other ladies to be trained in fulfillment of the requirements enshrined in Regulation 29 of the Employment Regulation 2021. On 17th, 2021, Gulf Skills Training Center communicated to the PS, Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, indicating that the victim and 8 other ladies had completed their pre-departure training from 30th March to 6th April 2021 and were passed out on 6th April. A copy of the letter is here attached on the Annex A. On 5th May, the PS notified the respondent that the latter's request had been evaluated and found to meet the requirements of the regulations and guidelines, and that the 100 employment opportunities by Atmal Al-Quraq Recruitment Office had been posted and advertised on the ministry website. On 7th September 2022, the PS Ministry of Gender wrote to the respondents company indicating that 7 ladies, including the victim, had been vetted and cleared subject to the respondent's possession of a valid Interpol certificate, which is a requirement under Regulation 23(1)A of the 2021 regulations. She signed her standard employment contract on 29th July 2021, where she was entitled to a monthly payment of 900 Saudi Riyal. The victim signed her contract on 17th October before departing for Saudi Arabia. A copy of the contract is hereby attached Annex B. The petitioner informed the committee that the victim paid 50,000 being registration fees. The visa and air ticket were paid for by her employer as provided for under Clause 10 of the bilateral agreement with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. According to Ministry of Gender and the respondent, the victim alleged assaulted her employer with a knife, breaking her employer's car, and physically assaulted a police officer. She was subsequently arrested and taken to prison in Najran, Saudi Arabia. This was reported to Ugandan embassy in Riyadh on 21st April. According to Uganda's ambassador to Saudi Arabia, the embassy contacted police and other government agencies to ensure her release and appealed to the employer and police officer to pardon her, which was achieved. The victim was released and sent to Riyadh, a distance of 1,200 kilometers by bus, where she was released and sent to Riyadh, a distance of 120 kilometers by bus, where she was on 26th June and was picked by the embassy from the bus station, weak and hugged. She had been arrested and managed for 6 months at the police station and then transferred to the embassy shelter, where she was held together with 15 other ladies with different issues pending repatriation to Uganda. According to the ambassador, the victim received medical attention while at the shelter pending the process of exit visa. On 17th August 2022, the victim was repatriated after her exit visa was provided. The committee has since interacted with her relatives, according to whom she was experiencing a deterioration in medical health and has been receiving treatment from the National Psychiatric Hospital in Botabika. Observations. The committee made the following observations. Ms. Nachigule Annette was externalized by Prime Linkages Limited, which had a valid license issued by the Ministry of Gender. The victim underwent pre-departure training, but this was for 7 days, as opposed to a minimum of 14 days, as provided under the Employment Regulations 2021, which regulations were enforced when the victim was externalized. This constituted a breach of the regulations, but was not red flagged by the Ministry of Gender. The respondent company charged the victim 50,000 as registration fees, whereas the Regulation 26(1) of the Employment Recruitment Migration Workers Regulations 2021 caps the fees that a recruitment agent may charge an administrative cost of 20,000. The victim was repatriated from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia by the respondent as provided under the bilateral agreement. The health of the victim deteriorated following her return from Saudi Arabia. However, there is no mechanism for the provision of health and psychosocial support to her on any other returning migrant workers or any other migrant return workers. The committee noted that the victim provided erroneous information which was not signed by her. On the victim's consent form, it was indicated that she had completed primary 4, but the family noted that she had dropped out of school at primary 3, and at the time she was externalized, she was a tailor in Chiembe. Prime linkages had an outstanding case of a one worker called Babiri Salma, who had been recruited and died in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The family indicated that they had received threats and intimidations from the respondent company because they had approached Parliament under this matter. The Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development lacks the capacity to monitor due to understaffing and inadequate resources. Prime linkages was negligent and did not provide the necessary assistance to Ms. Nakagulile and the family until the petition was presented to the Parliament. Recommendations. The committee recommends that the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development should always ensure that strict implementation of the existing laws regarding labor externalization, including the period of pre-departure orientation, fees charged by recruitment camp agencies. Put in place a reception center to check for any medical issue on the returnees and to offer medical treatment, psychosocial support, advise on appropriate investment plans and skills and knowledge transfers for migrant workers on return. Clause 10 of the standard employment contract requires the employer to bear all expenses of medical treatment. Thus, prime linkage should cater for Ms. Nakagulile's welfare and medical expenses. Term of reference number 2, examine the process of labor export in Uganda and the labor externalization industry. The process of labor export can be categorized in two broad categories, where the destination of migrant workers is a country with which Uganda has an existing bilateral labor agreement. For example, with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and where a bilateral labor agreement is non-existent. Who has switched off?
No. Honorable member, kindly try to conclude this.
Let me try to conclude. Let me go. No, someone has, Honorable Speaker, I need your guidance.
No,
I need your guidance, Honorable
we are
Speaker.
welcoming Honorable Chibadia, who has brought our minister. Well done, Honorable. So you can see you are complaining when you're the one who knew where she was. So yeah, Honorable, most of these issues are issues which we have tackled on several occasions, yes, and widely. Okay, so that's why I wanted us to focus on the issues of the ready, which you have reported on, but most of the others are policy related, market related. So you can just summarize on your recommendation. Then we shall have the whole report on the answer. Yes, sir.
Mr. Speaker, and many of us relied on the soft copy to follow that bit. So I request if they can put on our forum, direct of the forum for Parliament, and then they cast it throughout. It can be better for us. Thank you.
Okay.
Let me go to the recommendation, right, Honorable Speaker, as guided by you.
We gave you iPads. So, and I'm seeing the colleagues are opening, they're accessing, okay? Yeah.
Honorable Speaker, let me go to the recommendations as guided by you. Recommendations from the committee. The Minister of East African Affairs in the community should harmonize labor laws and regulations that concern migrant workers and negotiate as one voice for the East African community in order to have a strong bargaining position. The Ministry Committee under Labor, which is a framework of the East African community, should realign labor issues for migrant workers. Government should deploy labor attaches and legal officers at the Ugandan mission in Abu Dhabi, Riyadh, and Doha. Strengthen internal and external monitoring of Ugandan migrant workers.
Procedure from Honorable Nzima.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've been listening to the report. Most times when petitions are presented, the petitions come with specific prayers. And these specific prayers are what are supposed to be addressed and presented. That on prayer number 1, this is the plea of the petitioner. And this is what the committee came up with. But when I look at this, when I look at this report, you are one who tries to look at what was the problem. What are the problems this person wants the parliament to address? So I thought those could be the issues we should, but when you look at the recommendations and the rest, there seem to be general issues which have always been presented here. So I was wondering what is specific to this lady that parliament is supposed to address. So I don't know whether we're really proceeding correctly.
And that's what I was trying to guide the chair on, because the prayer was clearly specific on page 4, where the petitioner prayed that her daughter be brought back from Saudi Arabia. Okay? So we need to, but now I've seen it's really, really wide going, way beyond. I know these are salient issues that touch on what the committee has been handling. Chair, I think let's conclude, we focus on what was the prayer of the petitioner.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yeah.
Right Honorable Speaker, the committee received it's true the committee received a petition, and we made our findings, but our report entails everything about labor externalization. So the girl was brought back, and she's here. Thank you so much. I beg that the House adopts the report. Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yeah. Now, honorable colleagues, when you read the issues in the report, they are very general but salient issues. I think the committee could say of packaging them so that we handle them. They're not under this petition, okay, but through their sector committee reports and all that, okay? Honorable Minister.
Honorable Prime Minister, Right Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Chair really has very good recommendations and a conclusion. If she is allowed, I think she would read the recommendations and the conclusion.
You see, Honorable Minister, Parliament works through rules of procedure. The moment the rules are telling you how you process petition, you respond to prayers in the petition. Okay? Then other ancillary issues which you find, they can't be this big because these are too many. The report, more than 90% of the report is not on issues which the petitioner prayed for. So meaning you had another assignment, you added it on. Honorable Ssemuju.
Ndowooza ensonga muziwulidde. Z'Abaganda baffe bannyinaffe abawangaalira mu mawanga ga Buwarabu, ki ekirina okukolebwa okubataasa, ki ekirina okukolebwa okubaggya mu mbeera gye bawangaaliramu ey'okutulugunyizibwa, ey'okuyisibwa nga abaddu, ey'okuyisibwa nga abatalina mugaso, ey'okuyisibwa nga abatali bantu. Kati eyo embeera mwe tuli, embeera mwe tutambulira okulaba nga tuteekawo tutema empenda ezitaasa Baganda baffe okubaggya mu mbeera embi gye balimu, okubaggya mu buwambe, nga gavumenti eteekawo ebyo ebinaabakuuma abantu abanaayanguyirwa okuripootingibwako ne basobola okutaasa embeera. Kale byebyo ebiri mu Parliament. Omukama Katonda abankuumire, mbebaza nnyo mwenna, tujja tuddamu tugambe ebigambo. Mweraba.